Now we have 18 participants. So yeah, so okay, so let's start by introducing our company from my side. Okay, so let's start. So thank you very much for participating in our webinar out of your busy schedule. My name is Satoshi Takayama, one of the co-founders of our company, Federal Partners. I'm in charge of supporting overseas companies, especially in industrial machinery and component sector, to enter and to develop their business in Japan. Another co-founder is Yasushi Hasegawa. He will do the main part of this presentation after I introduce our company. The topic of this webinar is distribution channel strategy in Japan. In this presentation, we will explain that it would not be enough for you to develop your business in Japan just by having a local distributor and its solution for it. But firstly, I'd like to let you know that at the bottom of Zoom screen, you can find Q&A panel. So during our presentation, if you have any questions about our presentation or Japanese business in general, please use this Q&A panel to send your question. Then we'll answer to your questions during the presentation or at the last part of this presentation. Also, if you have questions about specific industry or about your company's business in Japan, then please contact us by email to reserve separate online meeting with us. You can find our email address in our first invitation email of this webinar, which is info@fenetre.co.jp. I will type it in the chat box later. And we are happy to answer to your questions and support you for your future business in Japan. Also, after this webinar, if you'd like to have a presentation material, then please send us an email message to us. Then we can send it to you later. Then this page you see, it is today's agenda, which will be presented by Yasushi. He will explain the overview of economy and industries in Japan, pros and cons of selling through a local distributor, strange distribution channel structure in Japan, case studies, options for distribution channel strategy in Japan, and question and answer. Oh, Hasegawa-san, maybe you...
Okay, keep
Okay.
going.
Okay, so then I'd like to introduce our company briefly. Our company, Federal Partners, is one of the leading consulting firms of trade, investment, and international marketing based in Tokyo. Our clients are medium to large size companies, mainly from the US and Europe. Yes, and we also have many clients of overseas governmental organizations to support trade missions and foreign direct investment. The main scope of our services is market entry support to enter Japan, not only by market researches or consulting, but by implementation. The implementation means, for example, the business development and lead generation. And this is our company's strength. What we mainly do with this implementation is, for example, sales and marketing activities locally in Japan on behalf of our clients. So we work as if we are your local Japanese branch office. We currently have 28 staff, and we have worked on more than 300 international projects since our company was established in 2008. And this page shows logos of our past and current clients. as explained earlier, we have clients of mainly from Europe and American manufacturing companies and also governmental organizations. Industries of our clients are mainly industrial machinery, components, automotive, but we also have clients of consumer products as well. And from the next page, my colleague Yasushi will explain the main topic of this presentation. So please enjoy his presentation, and please do not forget post your questions at Q&A panel if you have it. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. I'm Yasushi Hasegawa, another co-founder of Penetrate Partners. It's a great pleasure for me to share our experience and the knowledge about the Japanese market and market entry strategy to Japan with you today. And hopefully you can get some new insights from my presentation and find a way how to be successful in Japan. So in the first section, I'd like to share the overview of Japan economy and industries, which is somewhat tricky for foreigners. I'd like to start with very basic figures about Japan. The first one is the number of prefectures. It's like states. The biggest one is Tokyo, then Osaka and Aichi follows. The difference from the US is many of big companies are concentrated in big cities, while companies are scattered all over the US. So it's more convenient if you take a business trip. For example, it takes 2.5 hours from Tokyo to Osaka, and many of the companies are located in the same places. So it's really compact. And the next land area is almost similar with California, and the shape is almost similar. It's long islands from north to south, like this. And the population is roughly 1/3 of the US. And the GDP is 1/4 of the US. The size of GDP is still the third largest in the world. And the problem is, our GDP growth is almost nothing in the last 2 decades. I can say it's stable, but please do not expect a fast growing market. And very shocking figure is here, GDP per capita, which is roughly 40,000. Actually, 20 years ago, Japan was ranked world number 2. At the time, Japan was a rich country, but now it's ranked 26th. Now, Japan is getting poorer and poorer. So still some American or European believe Japan is a rich country, but no, it's totally wrong. It was a rich country. And another serious problem is median age. It's the second oldest in the world. The first one is Luxembourg. Probably many rich retired people live there. So I have to say, our country is getting poorer and older. So in general, Japan is not a good market for consumer goods players in general. So I want to explain a bit more about our economy. So this is a chart explains our GDP. Obviously, our peak time was 1997. And in 2018 or 17, I think we renewed the highest GDP. But it took 20 years. During that period, China has overtaken Japan like this. Now, China has the double size of GDP of Japan. And so actually, Japan had a very serious situation. In 2008, it's worldwide, economic crisis happened. In addition, in 2011, big earthquake happened with a nuclear incident. So Japan had the worst time from 2008 to 2013, but it has been recovering. Our government sometimes misleading. They say our economy is growing, but for me, it's just recovering. But now, it's under COVID-19 circumstance. Last year, we had a severe percent drop, and this year, we will have a few percent plus. So this is a reality of Japan. So it's very different from other growing markets. For example, in China, the GDP growth in these 2 decades was about 1,000% plus, but Japan made 8%. I think it's 80% in Germany. So the GDP growth during this period of Japan is lowest in the world, as far as the country has data of GDP. And this slide explains the demographics of Japan. It's a population. It was peak at 2008, and gradually, started declining, and now rapidly declining. For example, we lost 500,000 population last year. I think it's a huge impact on our economy. And this red chart shows the percentage of elders who are over 65 years old. Now, about 30% of our population is over 65 years old. Usually, elders don't buy houses, cars, luxury goods, or insurance. So this is one of the reasons why our economy doesn't grow at all. So again, if you are selling normal consumer goods, I don't recommend Japan as your destination. And this is a stage of industry. I think it's a famous framework, industry life cycle, or sometimes it is used for product life cycle. Economy usually starts growing gradually and has grown and finally hit the ceiling and start declining. So I think Japan is a top runner of shrinking markets. Actually, in 1970s, 80s, and 90s, Japan was here. At the time, our economy was growing with like 7% per year, and many American and European companies were entering Japan because the market was demanding new products to meet the growing demands. But now, it's opposite. In many industries, the market size has started shrinking. Some extreme cases, department store, the size of market size of department store has declined by 50%, and furniture 50%, and the motorbike, it has declined by 90%, not 19. Many consumer goods markets are shrinking, but still, Japan has many players, strong local players, American players, and European players. So the market is really, packed full of companies, and it is dominated by strong players. So it's an oligopoly. So market shares are fixed, and it's very difficult to enter for newcomers. That is the reality of Japan. But in the growing market, demand is growing, so local distributors are always seeking new products to meet the growing demand. So distributors here are increasing the number of suppliers and products, but distributors here are reducing the number of inventory and suppliers. So this is the reason why it's very difficult to find a good distributor in Japan, in many industries, especially in consumer goods. So I hope you still have some small hope for the Japanese market. And I'd like to explain a typical case example. This is a chart explaining the number of cars sold in Japan. The peak time was 1991. About 8 million cars were sold, but now it's been 5 million. So I think it's a huge drop. 3 million minus. So if you are the owner of Ford or What else? Big three, Chrysler or GM. Probably you should not choose Japan because obviously, the domestic market is shrinking rapidly. However, all of the Japanese automotive companies are growing steadily, like Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Mazda, Subaru, any. Do you know the secret? Why they are growing? This is a chart to explain about the sales and the production in Japan and outside Japan. This shows our domestic sales, light green one. As I explained, it's about 5 million. And the same amount is exported, 5 million, green one. So still Japan has 10 million production level inside of Japan. In addition, they are producing outside Japan. It's growing. So only in the domestic market of Japan, you might think Japanese automotive companies are not doing well. But globally, they are steadily growing. That is the reality of the industry of Japan. So this is a very interesting research conducted by the Chamber of Commerce of Industry of Germany, Japan office. They distributed a questionnaire to German companies located in Japan. This question is asking, which is bigger, A or B? And B is a sales revenue from a Japanese company in Japan. The A is sales revenue from Japanese company worldwide or outside Japan. For example, B is sales from Toyota headquarters. A is sales from Toyota USA, Toyota China, Toyota Europe, Toyota India. So, and about half of respondents answered A is greater than B. So they are doing business development in Japan, but they are more outside Japan. And surprisingly, 20% answered A is 4 times bigger than B. So it shows why Japan is still attractive market for industry players. Once you get into a business with a Japanese company in Japan, you will have a chance to deliver Japanese companies located all over the world. That is the biggest advantage when you choose Japan as your destination. I think some of you guys think you can directly sell to Japanese companies' subsidiaries outside Japan, like in the US or Europe. It's half true. If you are selling cheap or commodity products, local people are allowed to purchase locally, so you can directly sell to them. But if you are selling important products like a sensor for safety driving, autonomous driving software, or some new technology of filter for eco-friendly, in those cases, decision maker is always in Japan. So you have to do sales activities to decision makers in Japan and deliver to a Japanese company in Japan first. Then you will have a chance to deliver to their companies located all over the world. So that's why we recommend Japan as your destination, as far as you are making some components, machinery, parts, material, software. So this is a great advantage of the Japanese market. So I'd like to say, if you are selling normal consumer goods products to average consumers, I don't recommend Japan. Some big players have withdrawn from Japan because our market is not growing, but the competition is crazy. Especially for consumer goods players, consumer preference is totally different from the US and Europe. So you have to spend a lot of time and money for product adaptation to the local consumers' preference. So it's tough. So we recommend Japan as your destination. If you sell to big manufacturers, in the advanced engineering sectors like automotive, construction machinery, agricultural machinery, or automation, robotics, or any, and you sell those intermediate products, not the final products. And in addition, you will have a chance to be successful in healthcare and alternative energy sectors because those sectors are growing in Japan. So now you understand the good industry and bad industry in Japan. So if you are selling consumer goods, you can leave this webinar right now. I don't think it's impolite. But I hope many of you guys still have a hope to be successful in Japan. Okay, in the next section, I'd like to explain the advantages and disadvantages of selling through a local distributor, one local distributor. This is our framework to choose market entry mode. Vertical axis shows the degree of risk, and the horizontal shows the control. It's a trade-off. If you invest a lot and set up your own office and hire your own talent, it's expensive and you will lose money, but you can get high control. But if you choose trade, you don't need to spend a lot of money at the beginning of your market entry, but you don't have a control because your distributor works for their own interests. They don't represent you. So this is a simple structure. Of course, in between you can find the licensing, joint venture, or small part of M&A. If you acquire a company, 100% of share, it's same with direct investment, but those collaboration would be in between. So I know the ideal situation is you don't take risk, you don't control, or you do nothing, but your local distributor sells your products automatically, right? Yeah, if I were you, I think it's a ideal situation, but it's unlikely to happen in Japan with many reasons. So I'd like to explain some advantages of doing business development through a local distributor. You can easily get the market experience and again, low investment, low risk. And hopefully you can take advantage of their existing customer base. It's an advantage, but there are so many disadvantages, especially for the case you are selling complicated products which require technical services. You cannot get the customer relationship, and you can't have a deep technical discussion with engineers at your customers. And your distributors usually don't disclose important market information, including personal contact information or end user pricing. And most of the distributors have limited market coverage in terms of industry application. Sometimes one distributor just focus on one company group, like Toyota Group or like that. And you can't control their sales activities. And you can't, of course, control end user pricing. And at the beginning, service level should be lower than the one in your home country. And it's not effective for selling to Japanese customers outside Japan because it's none of your distributor's business because their territory is Japan, so it doesn't work. And the most important aspect is you never know why your business doesn't grow in Japan because distributors usually try to hide important information. Probably it's somewhat same everywhere in the world. In addition to that, our Japanese business culture is somewhat vague, or people speak with a lot of sugarcoating. People mitigate, and people try to avoid a conflict, especially with a foreigner in English. So they try to speak in a vague way. So this is pros and cons of doing business development through a distributor. Okay, on the next section, I'd like to explain some strange structure of a distribution channel in Japan. The first one is the multi-layers. I don't say it's normal in Japan. This is an extreme case we have experienced. In this case, it's super difficult to penetrate. It's taking a lot of time, and you lose price advantage. You can see this structure in those fields. Only one solution would be pull marketing like SEO or SEM. If end user make an inquiry to retailers, make an inquiries, and finally you can have a chance to sell. Otherwise, it's very difficult to control your distribution channel. The next one is a closed model. You can see these models in cars, house appliances, cosmetics, insurance. So simply, Toyota dealers sell only Toyota cars. Shiseido Cosmetics small shop only sells Shiseido Cosmetics. So in this case, you cannot find the importers or distributors in those industries. Only one way is you set up your own company in Japan and you develop your own dealer network and sell it to consumers. I think now Ford is planning to re-enter Japan, but it requires a lot of work and budget. I don't know how they are planning, but in some industries, there's no independent, strong importers. In that case, you have to have your own sales. And the direct model. In some industries, direct model is a majority. In that case, it's very difficult to find importers because most of the key players are selling directly to consumers, like mail order, e-commerce, TV shopping program, or any. In that case, no importers for you. So it means you have to set up your own farm or hire some e-commerce company like us and directly sell to consumers. Yeah, please be careful if you are selling such products. And the next one is a purchasing agent. Sometimes you expect your distributor is on your side and they try to sell to your products to end users. But in some industries or company group, distributor represents a purchasing side and they try to find the products that end users require. So in that case, you cannot control your distributor at all because they are on customer sides. So please be careful with that structure. And focus on logistics. In some industries, distributors don't do sales at all. Their main role is delivery, just-in-time delivery. In that case, you have to do sales development. You have to have a technical discussion with your end users directly. So in this case, only one solution is you hire someone working on the ground and visit your end users and make an agreement. You can arrange a shipment through this distributor, and this guys will place an order. So probably it's only one solution for automotive and construction machinery industry. And OEM, the typical example is Uniqlo, the biggest fast fashion company in Japan. Now they are a sponsor of Roger Federer, Kei Nishikori. I think they are spending millions of dollars every year. In that model, what Uniqlo is doing is they design everything and they outsource manufacturing, and at the same time they choose material of clothes and purchase them and make those material to send it to OEM factories location, and they produce under Uniqlo's controlled management or quality management. And then Uniqlo imports a product in Japan and sell Uniqlo products at the Uniqlo retailing shops. So Uniqlo controls everything of the supply chain. This model can be seen in furniture, supplement, or many consumer goods sectors. In this case, only one option that you have business with Uniqlo is you become an OEM company, which manufacture products under Uniqlo's design and quality control. But Uniqlo doesn't pay a lot, usually they outsource manufacturing to underdeveloped country like Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, but Myanmar is not a good idea nowadays, So please be careful. In consumer goods industries, some statistics says Japan imports a lot of furniture or supplement or clothes, but reality is this. If you design your own fashion brand in Italy or US and try to export to Japan, probably it's impossible to be successful in Japan through a distributor. Of course, you have another option. If you have a big budget, you can set up your own flagship store in Ginza or Roppongi and sell your products in your own store, but it requires a lot of investment. For SMEs, for those industries, I don't recommend Japan at all. So those are we are the distribution channel structure in Japan. So please be careful when you plan market entry into Japan. In some cases, your success rate is very low or very close to zero. So you have to talk to a local expert before you make a decision. In the next section, I would like to explain some case studies. The first one is a German device manufacturer. They are making some sensor products to those players, and they've been successful in the US and Europe. They are sort of niche leader. Their sales size is just 30 or 40 million US dollar annually, but they have very high market share in a particular niche field. And they finally choose Japan as a destination in this case. And the company was trying to develop Japanese distributors by themselves. They sent emails in English, but they received no replies because emails are written in English. If you write an email in English to Japanese companies, probably they ignore it. Or in worst case, your email goes directly to a spam folder. So they are interested in Japan, but they didn't have a way to be successful in Japan at that time. Roughly 10 years ago, and they found our service, and we made an agreement, and we started developing a distributor by conducting the research to identify target distributors, and we contact all of them and arrange meetings and visit all these target distributors, and finally our client reached an agreement with a distributor, which is a small size one. They are selling very simple parts to those industrial electronics companies, and they have good contacts with target customers. And the company expects immediate sales, but nothing happened. So it's sometimes it sometimes happens in Japan. So most of distributors in Japan have been selling hundreds of different products. So just adding one product line is not attractive for salespeople. They don't have strong motivation to focus on selling your products. because they have to, selling. They have to keep selling other hundreds of products. So you have to support their sales, especially on technical discussion. But technical trouble happened. I think it often happens between Japan and the US, or between Japan and Europe, because the mentality about quality control is very different in Japan. People are super meticulous and they love micromanagement. They ask hundreds of irrelevant questions to your engineers, and it's really annoying your engineers. And finally, they had some trouble with their salesperson B. And organizational culture in Japan is really collective. Once you made a poor experience with you, with one salesperson, the rumor will be spread out in the organization, and all salespeople feel unsafe with your product and your technical support, and they stop selling this client's products. It turned out, and another problem is, Japanese look obedient. They pretend selling to their managers, and so it takes time to realize that situation. Finally, the client solved the question. Of course, our staff made a lot of efforts to be a bridge between distributor sales and our client, and finally this company becomes very successful. But it took time, a lot of time, to improve the situation. So please be careful with technical support, and please try to answer to any kind of questions. Otherwise, you will lose trust from one salesperson, and all salespeople will feel the same. It's a collective culture. And on the next case, I would like to explain the problem caused by multi-layers. This company is a construction material company. Their distributor is sort of family business, very small. It has only a few people, and this company sells through this distributor, but this guy has a second distributor and end users. And our client expected this guy also sells to other channels. And 10 years have passed, and but there was no growth. And the company talked to us, and our firm conducted some research, including the interview with this guy. And it turned out this guy made an unofficial exclusive agreement. It's a gentleman agreement. It's not written, but this guy only sell to this second distributor. It turned out. So it's not a good idea for our client, but in the last 10 years, our client didn't know that. So if you encounter this type of multi-layers, please be careful with what's going on under your distributor. They may do something wrong for you. So the ideal case is you or someone visit the second distributors and the end users to see what's going on. Probably you need to hire someone who speaks Japanese and works in Japan on the ground. In the next case, I'd like to explain some exclusive distribution structures case. It's an industrial pump company. They are trying to selling to agriculture machinery industry. The business started by the inquiry from this distributor to this our German client, and immediately made an agreement between two guys and successfully delivered the first product to end user A, big agricultural machinery company. The client thinks, oh, wow, it's successful, and they expect to sell to end user B and C through this same distributor, but nothing happened. The reality is the relationship between this distributor and the end user A is very close. I think this guy earns about 30% of sales revenue from this end user A. So it's a super loyal customer. So that's why this guy hesitate selling to end user B and end user C, the same components, because end user B and C are strong competitors of end user A. So you may encounter this structure in machinery sectors. Sometimes it is called as KRETS, very exclusive supply chain structure, like Toyota Tier 1 suppliers cannot have a business with Honda and Nissan. So sometimes it's super exclusive. In this case, it's a good idea to find another distributor for end user B and another distributor for end user C. I know it's not efficient, but in these exclusive structures, you are required to do that. And in this case, I'd like to explain the typical problem in automotive and construction machinery, or any kind of commercial vehicle. Our American client is making an engine filter, and they had the meetings with some end user and distributors. And this company expected this distributor tried to promote their products to end users, but nothing happened. Because the role of this distributor is just-in-time delivery. They purchase hundreds or thousands of components and deliver it all together to end user A just in time. So replacement from this company to our client's company is almost meaningless because price is almost same and profit is almost same. So distributor said, whichever, as far as end user A prefers. So only one way is this company do business development directly to end user A. Hire someone working on the ground in Japan and have a technical discussion with end user A and reach an agreement. Then, you can arrange shipment through this distributor and the end user A will place an order to this distributor. So in some industries, distributors don't do sales. So in that case, you have to have your own salesperson, unfortunately. So this is the end of case studies. So I explained some typical cases which may occur in Japan. So please be careful when you plan marketing into Japan. In the final section, I would like to explain some strategic options, how to develop your distribution channel design in Japan. The first one is a hire local sales person. So now you have one local distributor, but you are frustrated with their performance because their industry coverage is limited and you can't control their sales activities. This solution recommends you hire a salesperson here who manages this distributor's activities and accompany distributor sales to end users for having a technical discussion. At the same time, work on business development in another target industry and report directly to your company. In this case, you can fully understand the market situation because you visit or your local sales visit your target industries. And at the same time, you can push distributor sales to make calls to target industries. And in this case, you can see how your distributor behaves in target industries. Sometimes this salesperson accompanies this guy to meetings with those guys, and probably this guy has a chance to see end user pricing or have a chance to listen to some technical discussion between distributors and end users, and he will have a chance to understand what's going on in Japan, and he can directly report it to you. So I think it's a very good solution for those who are frustrated with the performance of a local distributor. The disadvantage is the cost for hiring a local salesperson. If you establish your own setup.
Okay, Yasushi, there's some bad connection, like 10 seconds. Would you please repeat again?
On this slide?
Yes, just 10 seconds, I think.
Oh,
it
okay.
was interrupted, yeah. Thank you.
Probably, I explained local sales can visit end users with distributor sales and have a chance to see quotes submitted by distributor. And you will have a chance to understand end user pricing. And you have a chance to listen some technical discussion between this guy and this guy. And probably you will have give a solution to this distributor sales, like you provide a training or any, and you can share that situation. The guy can report to you directly. So this is a typical solution for those who are frustrated with the performance of a local distributor. Only one disadvantage is the cost, because you hire someone. If you set up your own Japan office and hire local talents by yourself, probably you have to spend between $250,000 and $500,000. Of course, it depends on whom you plan to hire and where you set up your office. In the center of Tokyo, rent is not cheap, and if you go on a very swift way, probably the budget in the first year will be $250,000 or more. But I think it's still not a good idea for most of the mid-sized companies. And our recommendation is outsourcing. You hire sales and marketing firm like us. So for our case, we just charge $6,000 for 60 hours working hour per month. And you have to pay some additional actual costs like transportation, probably. So you can start with this. You can start this model with $80,000 annually. So many of our clients have chosen this model. The strategy too is hire application engineers. Sometimes, or in many cases, application engineers in distributors are very busy because they have been selling hundreds of products, and your product is just one of them. So in that case, technical discussion between end user and distributor is not smooth. So in this case, you have a negotiation with your distributor to hire application engineers for your products. Of course, you bear the cost fully or partly with your distributor. Of course, it's a matter of negotiation. So in that case, this engineer properly provide technical support to end users, and it will work. in a technical way. But disadvantages are you still don't understand the market situation because this engineer belongs to your distributor.
Yasushi, sorry, once again, there's some bad connection.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On this slide?
Yeah, like a 15 seconds something. So would you repeat once again?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So this is the second option. You hire an application engineer with your distributor together. In many cases, application engineers in your distributor are busy because they've been selling hundreds of products, and your product is just one of them. So probably, if you have this application engineer, you can assign him to have a technical discussion with end users. So you can solve some technical troubles in this way. So, however, this guy belongs to this guy. So still, they may hide the market real situation to you. And you can control technical matters, but you can't control business development. And it's uncertain if your distributor agrees with this idea, or of course, if you have to bear some cost of hiring this guy, you have to spend some costs. But if your business seems going well potentially, and the only one problem is that technical support, I recommend this option for you. The third option is a multi-distribution channel strategy. It's simple. Always, your distributor has a limitation in terms of industry coverage, application coverage, or any. So this solution is you have another distributor for another target, which is not covered by existing one. Disadvantage advantage of this model is you don't need to pay at the beginning of your business with this distributor, but probably there might be conflict here. For example, the understanding of definition of industry B would be different between this guy, and maybe they will complain, new one is stealing our customers. Well, you have to solve that kind of conflict. It's an additional burden. And for logistics, it's not a good idea to deliver your products separately to distributors. So probably, you send a pallet to this guy, and this guy will, send it to this guy. So it requires a lot of effort to arrange those things. And you still can't control, business, because you never know what's going on, because those distributors don't disclose important information to you. And the strategic option 4 is for suppliers in automotive or construction machinery industry. Again, in these sectors, distributors don't do sales activities. They focus on just-in-time delivery. So you have to hire someone working on the ground in Japan for business development by having technical discussion with the end users. And this guy will report to you. So unfortunately, in automotive and construction machinery industry, this is only one solution. So again, we recommend outsourcing base because you can start immediately with a small budget. And in those industries, it usually takes a few years to get fast sales. So, spending $500,000 every year in 3 years role wouldn't be a good idea for mid-sized companies. So I strongly recommend you start with outsourcing basis. The final one is a full outsourcing. I don't explain in detail this, but so you can replace your distributor by a third-party importer. And at the same time, you can hire local sales on outsourcing basis. In this case, you can fully control your business in Japan on outsourcing basis. But disadvantage, you have to pay service fee, probably on retainer base to those players. But it's flexible and you can immediately start, and it doesn't require heavy investment at the beginning of your market entry. So this is the end of our recommendation of the strategic options about how to develop distribution channel in Japan. On this final slide, I would like to explain our services. If you haven't found any distributors in Japan, we can start with. Can you hear me? Takayama-san.
Just like a 10 seconds once again.
Okay.
It was a little bit difficult to catch.
Finally, I'd like to explain some services. If you haven't found any distributors in Japan, we are happy to help you find the appropriate ones. So it could be a good option for your first step of your market entry. But please do not expect a big success with just finding a local distributor. And it's a good option for products which don't require a lot of technical services. And on the next stage, we recommend business development on outsourcing basis. It's a good option for products which require a lot of high-tech service. And the best option, only one option for automotive and construction machinery sector. And it's also a good option for in the case that you are frustrated with your Japan local distributor. And if you've been successful through those services, finally, you can go to the next step. You set up your own company in Japan, or you try to find a M&A opportunity or a joint venture opportunity. We are happy to support you at any stage. So this is the end of my presentation. So again, thank you very much for participating to our webinar today, and hopefully you can get new insights about the distribution channel strategy in Japan, and I hope we have a chance to work together in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you very much for the presentation. It's actually, we only actually have two minutes for the Q&A. And I've actually answered the question during the presentation, but I found one interesting question from the chat. It is that the question is that why Japanese companies prefer Japanese products?
Okay.
Consumer products. Yeah.
Because it's simply different. They don't care it's made in Japan or made in China, but the product should be designed on a Japanese way. Let me share an interesting case, if you still have some time.
Yeah, a few minutes.
It's a very unique case of a KitKat. I think it's a Nestle. KitKat is a Nestle brand, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they've been very successful in Japan because they did a lot of market adaptation. Let me show you some good example how they become successful in Japan. Well, it takes time.
Yes. Are you sharing a screen?
I am trying, but the access speed is very slow today. I don't know why. Okay. Now, okay, let me share my screen. It's loading. Can you see this picture? Is it too small?
Yeah, I can see this.
Yeah. I think in the US or Europe, only two types of KitKats are available. But here you can see 20 or 30 types of different KitKats. It's Japan. So Nestle successfully adapted to the market demand. And so Japanese customers are super arrogant. I think if you've been to Japan, you experience very high level services. The reasonable high level service is, shop staffs or everyone, salespeople are trained by arrogant customers. So Japanese customer demands a lot. I think I'm answering to your question.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's a very Japanese way.
Yeah,
They demand a lot. Actually, there's a proverb in Japan: "A customer is God." I don't think it's making sense, but it's a Japanese culture.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so thanks for Yasushi for answering to this question. And now it's time to finish the webinar. So we'd like to thank you very much for participating. And have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you. Bye-bye.